In the 1960s, Japanese cars were considered to be a bit of a joke. They were regarded as cheap, poorly made, and not up to the standard of their Western counterparts. But in reality, this was far from the truth. Japanese cars were becoming increasingly popular, and their vehicles proved to be much more reliable than many of the cars manufactured in the United States and Europe. Japanese companies had models to cover everything from family runabouts to rugged off-roaders and saloon cars. They even had their own sports cars. But what they were missing was a luxury high-performance model. Europe had cars like the Jaguar E-Type, Porsche 911 and the Ferrari 250 GTO. America had the Corvette and other luxury automobiles, but Japan had nothing. That was until the Toyota 2000 GT turned up at the Tokyo Motor Show in 1965. It would go on to change the face of the Japanese motor industry and would become the first $1 million Japanese car. Following the Second World War, Japan underwent significant changes. The country had to rebuild, and manufacturers were focused on producing economical cars and utility vehicles. It wasn't until the first Japanese Grand Prix in 1963 that drivers in the country became interested in performance. 1 year later, Toyota began working on a luxury high-performance model that would showcase the company's technologies and engineering abilities. The project would be headed up by this man, Shoichi Saito, a major player in the development of Toyota. His brief was simple: do whatever necessary to not only produce the 2000 GT, but make it one of, or perhaps even the greatest car in the world. It would need to be practical, yet enjoyable to drive. The engine would be located at the front, driving the rear wheels, and finally, it would need to have looks that could rival those from more expensive European brands. As a stroke of luck, Yamaha came to Toyota with a prototype car around the same time. This prototype was originally developed for Nissan, but the company rejected the offer. Nissan took elements of the design and went on to create the 240Z, the 2000 GT's main competitor. Toyota saw this as an opportunity. They realised they could use Yamaha's car to improve their somewhat conservative brand image and immediately approved the project. Toyota's designers, Jiro Kawano and Satoru Nozaki, took the A55X prototype and turned it into this, the 280A1. The prototype was met with great reception, but buyers would have to wait until 1967 to get their hands on the production version of the car. The production GT featured smooth flowing bodywork crafted out of aluminium, and it was the first Japanese car to feature a limited slip diff and all-round power-assisted disc brakes as standard. It was powered by a 2-litre straight-six Toyota engine that featured a number of modifications from Yamaha. This meant that the little Toyota produced 148 horsepower and 129 pounds-feet of torque, enough to get the car from 0 to 100 in 10 seconds and onto a top speed of 215. While the performance was impressive for the power output, the 2000 GT struggled to compete against the likes of the E-Type and the 240Z. Still, the car was a hit, with Road and Track claiming the GT was one of the most exciting and enjoyable cars they had ever driven, and compared it favourably to the Porsche 911. It even saw great success in the world of motorsport, winning the 1967 Fuji 24-hour race and setting several FIA world records for speed and endurance in a 72-hour test. In the United States, Carroll Shelby himself entered a pair of modified GTs in the 1968 SCCA production car series. Despite these achievements, the GT's most famous moment came when it appeared in the 1967 James Bond film, You Only Live Twice. Due to Sean Connery's size and the small cabin of the Toyota, 2 convertible versions had to be made. Toyota simply chopped off the middle roof, replacing it with a soft top. Unlike other Toyotas of the time, The GT wasn't cheap. Models imported to the United States sold for more than $7,000, around $1,000 more than the E-Type and the Porsche 911, and over $2,500 more than the C2 Corvette. The 2000 GT's main competitor was the Datsun 240Z when it arrived in 1969. With somewhat similar styling to the GT, the 240Z was more focused on performance rather than luxury. Its 151 horsepower inline 6 propelled the car from 0 to 100 in 8 seconds, 2 seconds quicker than the 2000 GT. However, the 240Z topped out at around 200, 15 less than the Toyota. After 3 short years of production, the last 2000 GT rolled out of the factory in 1970, making a total of 351 cars produced. With such rarity, the 2000 GT is widely considered to be the ultimate Japanese classic, with examples fetching over $1 million at auction. The GT changed the way the world viewed Japanese cars, and it went on to influence the design of some of Toyota's most famous sports cars, such as the Supra, the GT86 and the Lexus LFA. If you'd like to know more about the history of cars, or about buying one, make sure you subscribe, and check out garagedreams.net. I'll leave a link in the description. Thanks for watching, see you next time.